So I did a fun little thing just now. I took 10 minutes to make this video and realized that my mic was on mute the entire time. Just because OBS is showing my thing moving does not mean that the sound is coming out. So I'm going to show you the video I just recorded and hopefully reiterate what I just said in the last 10 minutes. So take 2. Okay, so here I'm talking about what the calendar looks like here. So we're going to go over what shutter speed is, intro to Adobe Bridge, and then you need to make sure to turn in your 5-for-1 homework if you haven't done that yet. So make sure to get that done. It is in week 4. And then we'll go over some shutter speed stuff, and we'll go over Adobe Bridge. I'm making 2 videos here, and this will be the first one. I'm going to skip ahead because I think that's what I already talked about. So yes, that's where 5-for-1 is. It's in last week's folder, so make sure that you turn it in. Okay, so here is the shutter speed. So our cute GIF for the week is you're using the wrong shutter speed. Here, let me adjust that for you. So some objectives: understand the shutter speed component of the exposure triangle, know the differences when it comes to fractions of a second, determine what makes a successful fast shutter speed, know how to do a long shutter speed correctly. And then I just got a Facebook notification. Our exposure triangle meme. Just going over that, reiterating what the exposure triangle is here. Just remember, once you change one, you have to change the other 2. So we got over ISO, aperture, and now we're going over shutter speed. So shutter speed is the amount of time the shutter is open that allows light in. While the shutter is open, the image sensor is exposed to light. Think of it as how long the camera sees the image. So shutter speed is measured in fractions of a second. So we see that here with the whole second, half a second, 1/4, 1/8, all the way down 1/500th and 1,000th of a second. Bulb is going to be when the shutter is held open for a specific amount of time. So last year, if you saw that, where it had B or bulb, and it took forever to close or take the picture, that's why it was taking that long to take the photo. So remember that shutter speeds are measured in fractions of a second. So you think about this pie right here, where, like in math, so the more you cut it up, the smaller the shutter speed, which makes it quicker. So cameras can typically shoot as low as 30 seconds. We'll look into that a little bit in a thing. So this is talking about fast shutter speed. 1/125th and higher are used to stop motion and will freeze the subject in space. So you want, there's going to be times when you want to use a tripod, and we'll look at that in a second when you use slower shutter speed. But if your hands shake, typically 1/125th is as slow as you can get without seeing camera shake and the movement of your camera. So this is a really cool picture of a bee frozen in time, where everything like just looks like it's there, and not moving its wings, not anything. It's just kind of hovering there. So it's pretty cool looking. So this is where we're talking about where you might want to use a tripod. When you get really slow shutter speed, 1/60th or slower, you see a lot of movement here. The people getting off and off the train. This guy right here is like really the only one moving or not moving, so he's pretty clear right there. So we see here no camera shake, and we see blur from the camera shake. So this one's obviously a nicer picture. There's not a lot of the mess in this picture. So very slow shutter speed. 5 seconds or slower can be used in a very low light situation to obtain correct exposure or achieve dramatic effect. So you always want to use a tripod in this situation. So we're going to do a lot of this with light photography, with some really cool stuff with your cell phone lighting. And so that's when you need a tripod so you don't get that motion blur, which you just saw there. And that's me waving around, like pretending I'm waving around a phone light bulb. So this is our chart for the week. So 1/1000th, 500th, 250th, all the way up to 1 second of bulb. Your shutter times are going to be for 1/1000th, fast shutter speed, freeze motion, very little light's getting in your camera. Your 1 second to your bulb and higher are going to be longer. Slow shutter speeds, motion blur or blur motion, a lot of light is needed. So you want to beware. As your shutter speed decreases, your chances of capturing a blurry image increase because you must hold the camera steady for a long period of time. It's recommended to use a tripod at 1/30th or slower, which we just talked about, because it's going to help with the motion blur. So this guy is here doing night photography. He's obviously using a tripod because he can't stand there for that very long period of time with the camera just holding it. This is water with fast shutter speed, so you can see all the droplets there everywhere. This is probably one of the reasons why I love fast or shutter speed. It takes really awesome photos that make you see things in a different way. This is showing you slow shutter speed, so that whole area is obviously just stopped and it's not moving, and then the water is the stuff moving fast, and so it's a lot clearer and just smoother. So do you want to freeze or show blur? So this is a helicopter showing a fast enough shutter speed that the individual blades of its rotor are there. So why might this be bad? It's because so I'm going to pause for a second. You think about that. Why might this be bad? It's because you don't want to. It's not realistic, and so you want this to be able to see. And you can see it here and here in this propeller, in these blades right here. Otherwise, that looks like it's just kind of floating in air, and so it looks like it's going to fall right out of the sky. So, do you want to freeze or show blur? On the other hand, sometimes seeing actions blurred isn't always helpful. So, if you see these guys, you can't even tell who they are or what they're doing. I mean, you can kind of tell they're running, but that's about it. Sometimes you want to know right when something's going to frozen in midair, like this, where you're seeing the winner, and we kind of saw that a couple weeks ago with the horses and the ticker tape. And then you have really cool stuff like this, where this girl's dancing, and you can see all the movement here, and that's done with light and shutter speed. Then you have this where she's floating in midair. She's not really moving, but you can tell she's moving because of the curve of her body, her hands, her hair. Like, that's not a natural. You can't just do that. So you know it's movement. And you see sports photography is like that too, because the football player's not flying in midair either, and he's like just jumping up to catch the ball, so you know he's moving. So, so you see that movement. It's natural. You can also get really cool stuff with this. This is called panning, where everything is moving. It's blurry except for like one object. And we're going to be doing that with cars here in a couple weeks, where we're going to go on George Bush and be able to take some pictures of just a simple car, and everything else is moving. So do you want to freeze or show blur? So some photos feel like they're frozen, but actually are super long exposures. This was probably taken over like 30 seconds. So you definitely need a tripod for this. This one was probably taken at a faster shutter speed, but you use a lot of light, and so you can see it's super dark. You can only see the moon right there. So you want to keep in mind that too long is still the same even for the night photography. Here the shutter speed was open for so long that the stars became smudged, and so you can kind of see the blurriness in here of the stars. This one was multiple photos taken over a period of time to get this effect and edited together. They did not just have this open forever and ever and ever, but it still looks pretty cool. So, where is your stuff on your camera? So, in order to move the shutter speed, what are we doing right now? Shutter speed. You just do the knob. You just turn the knob. You don't have to press any other buttons. You just turn the knob whenever you have the settings on. That's going to be right here with the fraction of a second. And all you do is turn the knob. This is your, you don't have to press any buttons like ISO or the Q button to get the f-stop. So this is where you find it in the viewfinder. This one right here is going to be your aperture, and this is your ISO because you see that right there. So now you're gonna watch this movie, the last video for Star Wars. Um, it's in Schoology. You can watch it after we're done with this, and then you're gonna answer some questions in Schoology too to make sure that you watch this video. Um, and then there's gonna be another video on Adobe Bridge in a second that you're gonna watch and work with. So that's it. Hopefully that was good, and hopefully it actually recorded the sound this time.